What's wrong? Are my words ineffective? Tian sighed and added 3 degrees of heaviness to his tone. In the grand courtyard, the young eunuch suddenly shivered and hastily crawled to kneel before him, his head pressed tightly against the freezing stone floor, trembling incessantly. Because even if Tian was not in Emperor Yan's favor, his roots were still those of the 13th prince. Failing to recognize the hierarchy or disobeying orders in this palace was a crime punishable only by death.
When asked for his name, the young eunuch answered truthfully that his name was Qingao. His body jolted slightly, and fear instantly overwhelmed his mind when Shen Tian ordered him to look up. He had heard that some important royal figures, grown tired of wine and women, would turn their attention to beautiful young eunuchs and like to do bizarre things. Could it be that this 13th prince, the incarnation of the god of disaster, was such a person? At this thought, Qingao felt goosebumps all over. He quickly raised his pale face to make eye contact, in fear, only to find Shen Tian staring at him seriously and sternly, yet with a faint hint of excitement, which made Qingao panic even more.
In truth, Shen Tian wasn't staring at Qingao's face in a trance. He saw something emanating from Qingao's body, or more accurately, he saw something from the other party's halo. Amidst the gloomy atmosphere of Shen Tian's own black aura, when he focused his attention, he saw that the halo above Qingao's head was projecting an image. Gui Gonggong's voice, asking curiously if there was anything wrong with this young eunuch, briefly interrupted and brought Shen Tian back to reality, but his eyes remained fixated on that mysterious image.
The vision radiating from the center of the red ring above Qingao's head gradually took a clear form. The first place that appeared in the image was the main gate of the royal library within the palace. This magnificent and invaluable ancient Chinese architecture was the repository of countless knowledges and texts of the kingdom. The image seemed alive. It was revealing the path of destiny for Shen Tian to witness.
Then, the vision continuously zoomed into the interior of the royal library. The image moved past rows of bookshelves, reaching a corner in the southeast, and stopped dead on an old book titled History of Great Yan. The vision halted here abruptly. Although it looked entirely ordinary on the surface, Shen Tian strongly believed that a great secret must be hidden within that book, and it might be related to the red halo above Qingao's head, or it might even be Qingao's destiny itself.
A bold thought involuntarily popped into Shen Tian's mind. If I steal this young eunuch's destiny, will my luck improve somewhat? He didn't feel at all that stealing another's destiny was unacceptable, because after all, this was a cultivation world where the weak are prey to the strong. Those who are soft-hearted would end up dying tragically. Most importantly, if he didn't quickly find a way to change his fate, he would definitely meet a tragic end. With this in mind, Shen Tian waved his hand to dismiss Pin Gao before hurriedly heading towards the royal library, barely able to wait.
The royal library of the Great Yang Kingdom is located in the central area of the palace. Numerous texts are stored here. Naturally, high-level martial arts manuals related to cultivation were kept in the core area, protected by servants with profound cultivation. Without an imperial edict from Emperor Yan, even a prince like Shen Tian could not simply walk in and read them as he pleased. Fortunately, the book History of Great Yan was not a cultivation manual. It was merely an ordinary historical record. Therefore, he could go and retrieve it without any obstacles.
Shen Tian walked along the bookshelves, relying on the image previously shown by Qingao's halo, which allowed him to find the target book swiftly. This book was about 10 centimeters thick, looked old, and its cover was entirely coated in dust. In this ocean of countless books and texts, this particular book didn't stand out in the slightest. However, Shen Tian knew very well that this book definitely concealed a secret.
The book is already in my hands. Let's first see if my fate has changed.
Shen Tian murmured hopefully. He pulled a mirror from his robe and examined his reflection closely. However, what reflected back was, well, his handsomeness remained, but his black aura was just as black as before. Shen Tian couldn't help but feel disappointed. Perhaps he hadn't truly grasped the destiny yet, thus his fate remained unchanged, and he needed to completely unravel the mystery inside this book first. Realizing this, he registered the history of Great Yan and took it out of the royal library immediately.
Over the following days, Shen Tian reverted to an extremely hopeless state. He confined himself to his bed. Even if beaten to death, he refused to step out of his room. The only thing that changed was that Shen Tian began to obsessively study this incredibly boring history of Great Yan over and over again. The atmosphere around him returned to being gloomy and filled with despair, much like a shut-in desperately groping for secrets within the pages.
While trying to study the book, Shen Tian felt extremely upset because he couldn't see anything special about it at all. It was merely a history book with no illustrations and no points of interest. Even its layout was just a dry sequence of characters. It was no wonder it had been abandoned in a corner without anyone opening it for decades. If he hadn't seen this book appear in Qin Gao's halo, he wouldn't have even considered touching it. His extreme frustration led him to wonder if he was simply too unlucky to find the secret within this book. But that made absolutely no sense.
Your Highness, you haven't left your room for 3 days, Gui Gonggong said, heartbroken, as he looked at Shen Tian's withered state. The old eunuch tried to persuade him. You've flipped through this book many times already. How about we go out for a walk? However, Shen Tian hugged the book tightly and shook his head in absolute refusal. If I don't find the secret in this book, I absolutely will not leave this room. But truth was, he didn't even dare to put the book down and go for a walk. With his current bad luck, if he let go, the book might vanish by the time he returned. Moreover, the probability of such a miserable thing happening was extraordinarily high.
After enduring another 3 hours of reading, Shen Tian gritted his teeth and read the history of Great Yan from beginning to end one more time. However, aside from finding the content even more boring than before, he discovered nothing else. Ultimately, Shen Tian had to sigh and accept the bitter truth that he might simply be too unlucky. If that was the case, the solution was to have someone else try reading it. He handed the history book to Gui Gonggong and said, "Uncle Gui, please take a look at this book. I believe there is a destiny hidden within it."
There's a destiny in this book? Gui Gonggong took the book, harboring skepticism in his heart. Although he deeply respected and believed in the 13th prince, when it came to the prince's luck, Gui Gonggong naturally knew better than anyone else. The idea that His Highness could casually borrow an ordinary book from the royal library and discover a great hidden destiny within it seemed virtually impossible to Gui Gonggong. Since Your Highness feels there is a destiny in this book, this servant will try to examine it. Despite his disbelief, driven by absolute loyalty, Gui Gonggong began to circulate his spiritual energy and channeled it to thoroughly inspect the book.
But shortly after, Gui Gonggong's eyes widened, revealing extreme surprise. The old eunuch exclaimed, "Eh, there really is something inside the book!" At the same time, Shen Tian, who was sitting and observing from the corner, had his mouth twitch slightly. He didn't know whether to be happy or sad. He couldn't help but feel the dark comedy of the heavens. He himself had sacrificed sleep and intensely studied it for days without finding the slightest abnormality. Yet Gui Gonggong, who had only inspected it for a few minutes, had already discovered the destiny. Did his fate of bad luck really need to be this realistic and cruel? If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up to show your support. And if you don't want to miss out on more fun stories or great insights like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we drop a new video. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next one. Bye for now.